What's up, everybody? Warframe just released a new LMG called the Stradavar today, and we're going to be talking about it and looking at its stats and what its limitations are and what kind of builds you can do with it. So let's check out the base stats real quick here. Impact is 4.5, puncture is 15, slash is 10.5, the crit chance is 10%, crit multiplier is 2 times, status chance is 5%, and his magazine capacity is 65. Now, first off, let's talk about magazine capacity, since that was the last thing we said here. But magazine capacity is 65 for an LMG. 65, really? Come on now. If you want to look at the other LMGs in the game, Soma can be considered an LMG. It has 100 rounds in the magazine. The Supra is definitely a LMG, and that carries 180 rounds in the magazine. And then if you want to look at the Soma Prime, that's 200 rounds in the magazine. So what the hell is going on with 65 rounds right off the bat? That's kind of a questionable call. I don't know if they overlooked that or if they thought that was fair. I don't know. Seeing as how this has a little bit more base damage than the Soma right off the bat, I kind of understand it, but at the same time I still kind of question it. Second of all, crit chance is at 10%, alright? Now, this ain't going to be hitting red crits, obviously, and honestly, if you put a point strike on there, all you're going to get the crit chance up to is 25%. So it's not going to be a crit monster like the Soma is, and honestly, the base damage itself isn't high enough to make it kind of a crazy good weapon. So, based off of base stats right here alone, right now, I'm just going to tell you, it's not going to be an in-game weapon. It's a conventional weapon. It sounds good when it fires. Now, if you're wanting to build the weapon itself, it's going to cost you 20,000 credits, 15,000 ferrite, 8,000 polymer bundle, 3 neural sensors, and 2 argon crystals. So this will be pretty much more of an intermediate weapon, I guess you could say. It's not necessarily a beginner weapon where it doesn't require much resources or credits to build, but it does kind of show stats like one of those weapons, so it's kind of weird. I don't know. It requires a hell of a lot of polymer bundle and then argon crystals and neural sensors to build it. And honestly, polymer bundle is kind of hard to get in the beginning because Venus and Mercury just don't drop enough polymer bundle for newer players to be able to acquire it pretty quickly. So it's definitely going to have to be more of an intermediate weapon. So just a heads up to those who are thinking about building it. Now for the first one here, this is my preferred one. Like, my crit chance is 25%, and that's because of the point strike here. It ups my crit chance by 150%. And then the crit multiplier is 5.6 times instead of 2 times, thanks to Hammer Shot and Vital Sense. Now, there's an additional 120% crit damage if I kill someone and I'm aiming down my sights for the next 8 seconds, I believe. Now, that does not stack on the multiplier, but that does exist, and that is there. So, I have some footage of showing it in-game on series. It's pretty interesting. And then of course I have piercing caliber, split chamber, heavy caliber, and serration for my just overall damage. Now, as long as you're okay with aiming down the sights and that fits your playstyle, this build will be pretty good. But if you don't necessarily like to aim down sights, this build might not be as good for you as it is for me, because I tend to like to be accurate with my shots, and I tend to go for headshots more than anything. So this kind of works in my favor. As you can see, I'm only running about 25% crit chance, I believe it was, and I'm still landing a good bit of crits, and I'm doing a good bit of damage when landing those crits. And not only am I able to take out the kind of weaker enemies, but I'm also to take out the bigger guys as well. Trying to find an Xmas here to show that off. Let's check out the heavy gunner here. And yeah, it's pretty quick, you know. You just gotta land a crit on them and, you know, they turn into putty pretty much. Now, I'm showing you this against Grineer because, well, it's a puncture based weapon, and puncture is just best against Grineer. As you can see there, that kind of just ripped through that Xmas. So Alright, so while I was doing some research in this weapon, some things weren't making sense and it just didn't seem right, so I was trying to figure out what was going on with the alt fire. At first I didn't think it did anything other than change the fire rate, in which it does do that. If you select the alt fire button, it goes from fully automatic to semi-auto. See, as I'm shooting fully automatic there, I can hit alt fire and then go semi-auto. Now when you do that, when you go to semi-auto, it ups your crit chance to 20% instead of 10%. So with that point strike on, it takes my crit chance from 25% to 50%. So if you're looking for crits, definitely recommend switching to semi-auto. It will actually help you out a lot. Alright, so this is just my outright damage build. As you can see here, my crit chance is back to normal, and so is my status chance, so on and so forth. But if you look at my impact, it's at 36.8, nothing special, but my puncture is at 306.4. Now this is thanks to piercing caliber and piercing hit, as well as split chamber, heavy caliber insertion, and then my slash is at 188.7 thanks to feigned fusillade. I also have shred, which ups my fire rate by 30%, and it allows an additional punch through of 1.2, so my bullets go through more enemies and could probably save me some ammo. Now I was struggling to find a mod to put in the last slot, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to use a Bane mod. Now I don't have the Prime Bane mods, so I couldn't use that. But as you can see here, I have 4 Forma on my build. Now if I wanted to use Prime Bane mods, I would need an additional Forma in order to do so. So this would take it to a 5 Forma build if you're wanting to use a Prime Bane mod. Alright, so I'm on a series exterminate mission, gonna be showing off the Bane of Grenier build basically. As you can see here, we got a prosecutor, and it's not really doing anything to him for the most part, because prosecutors kind of rely on elemental damage in order to do a lot to them. But you know, you can take them out, they require a lot more ammo. Now the first thing you're gonna notice is crits aren't gonna be as nice with this build. That's to be expected, but the base damage itself is pretty nice. Most normal enemies just go down with ease. It's only the special enemy types that you have to worry about, like the Xmas and the heavy gunners. So reflecting on this weapon as I've been using it and trying it out and leveling it and trying to kind of fit it to my play style, it's kind of starting to grow on me a little bit, because I was a little bit disappointed in it and underwhelmed by it in the beginning, but after finding out that the alt fire actually increases the crit chance of it, that kind of made me like it a little bit more, because it's kind of like a Latron with a 65 round magazine after you switch it to semi-auto. Now there's going to be the people out there who love the Latron, and they're going to be like, oh no way, this isn't the Latron, it's not as good or whatever. And I mean, it's personal preference at that point. But this is, in my opinion, an intermediate grade weapon. It's not going to be in-game, but it's definitely better than, say, the Bratton and the Burstin and the Karak and things like that. So if you like this weapon, let me know what kind of build you run on it. And if you found this video helpful, I'd really like to know. And please give it a thumbs up if you did find it helpful, because that helps me get boosted up the list. And it helps me get my channel out there, and I'd really like this channel to grow in the future, because I really enjoy putting out these kinds of videos. So until next time guys, have a good one.